Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. Look, I've got to do this on the run. I have to be somewhere by 7 o'clock, but incredible news in the Championship, because arguably the greatest of all Tier 2 managers, Neil Warnock, has left Cardiff by mutual consent. As you can see, I am pretty flabbergasted by this one, and I don't attach this season's results to that view. I'm just thinking, if you had told me at the start of the season that 16 games in, international break number 3, that Neil Warnock would be out of Cardiff, I would not have believed you. I was looking at this season, Cardiff in there, a year one parachute team. They've got 2 years worth of parachutes. They've already got much of the squad that Warnock got them up with, and they've got the guy that at this level, I think it's something like 8 promotions in his career. I don't know how many have been from the Championship, but he's certainly just been an incredible manager at this level, and I am so surprised that it has worked out this way. We don't need to go all the way through Warnock's career. We all know about the man affectionately known as Colin. Amazing stuff at Notts County earlier in his career, amazing stuff at his hometown club Sheffield United, got them up. Then he becomes this gun for hire, and the rich QPR board, we've all seen the documentary, and he takes them up. It didn't quite work out at places like Leeds, for example, but he then goes to Cardiff a couple of years ago. They're right down the bottom, not fancied at all. He stabilised them, and then really what was an incredible promotion there at Cardiff in 17-18, in a division that had that really good Wolves team. Cardiff finish up their second, ahead of a really good Fulham team as well, a team based on, and like it or lump it, nobody could beat it. Only one team could beat it, and that was Wolves. It was based on Aaron Gunnarsson, long throws, Callum Patterson, long throws, Big Bamba, Big Morrison at the back, Medine coming and joining in there, Kenneth Zahor. Basically, my take is the only guy that could have got that group of players up was Neil Warnock. Up they go to the Premier League, and the thought has been for a long while that Warnock, although he is the master of tier number 2 and churning out the 46 games, that his football's always been a bit rudimentary for the Premier League, and sadly for Warnock that proved to be the case, and Cardiff were relegated first time of asking. So down they come. I think a few people were a little bit, well, not very enamoured with people like Bobby Reid coming in for a lot of money and then just being pushed out on loan to Fulham, and Murphy as well. That one not working out, a big signing there, but he brings in Aidan Flint. Zahor goes off again. Glatzel comes in. That hasn't quite worked out, and he's had to go back to the well of people like Lee Tomlin and Danny Ward up front, and it's been Hoylett and Mendes Lang, who again were people that got him up in 17-18. So there is a sense that the team hasn't moved on from 17-18, but to be blindly honest, I thought Neil Warnock and those players would be absolutely fine. I suspected they would be in the top 6, if not the top 4 by now, and it just hasn't happened. We've seen him tinkering.
Watch out!
Single week. Accident reported ahead. Sorry, that's my sat nav going. We've seen him tinkering with the team. It's been 4-2-3-1. It's been 4-3-3. Hasn't managed to fix up. And let's be honest, at the back it's been fine with Morrison and Flint and Bennett and Peltier. I think in the main, in the midfield, he bought Marlon Packin. That was a good signing, and Bakuna and Rolls have been fine. But where it's fallen down is he hasn't managed to get a configuration of either a front three or three guys playing off one at the front, and they just haven't been the old Cardiff that we were used to a couple of years ago. In terms of what happens next, this will be fascinating because I'm an Ipswich fan, and Ipswich were managed for 5-6 years by Mick McCarthy, who maybe isn't quite as direct as Warnock was at Cardiff in 17-18, but still, the back four defence, they play the ball into the corners, up to the big guy. Wide midfielders are covering their full-back. It's very cautious. Set plays were a thing, and Ipswich went from McCarthy to Paul Hurst, tried to change the style and tear it up, and like Wolves before them when McCarthy went, were relegated from the division. So I would be very, very worried if Cardiff now went for a scene change. They really, I don't think, can afford to do that. I think Millwall have played it quite well, and there's an elephant in the room here, in that they took Gary Rowett, and Gary Rowett is probably one step away from Neil Harris. He's quite pragmatic, he's quite cautious, he's not necessarily as direct as Harris was and up and at them, but that seemed to be a good appointment. And with that being said, you would think the obvious guy for Cardiff in terms of a style and in terms of taking a squad that's been put together in a bespoke way to play a certain way, you think Cardiff would be on the phone to Neil Harris, who in a slightly different way, it could really work really well, because Warnock, even in 17-18 when they went up, it was about slowing the game down. It was about disrupting the flow of the game and the opponents, being very hard for anyone to build up a head of steam against, and taking those 6-yard box chances that were created either by flying wingers or the throw-ins and the corners that we all know about, and making those count. Solid at the back, clean sheets, create chances. They still create a lot of chances despite having bugger all possession. I think Cardiff under Warnock in 17-18 were promoted with sort of the second lowest possession in the league or something crazy like that. But what Harris did well is he married that direct style with people like Steve Morrison, and set plays with Jake Cooper, and we know that Matt Smith's gone in there, and John Daddy Budvarson in Millwall. He married that with an up and atom pressing intense style that really they blew teams away at times, Millwall. And if Cardiff can marry the powerful players that are already there, that have been brought there by Warnock, with some kind of intensity and directness, which we know they're capable of, then I think they could be onto a winner. I'm jumping the gun. I don't know. I've got no information on Neil Harris, but that just seems to be the obvious link. I would invite people in the comments to say whether they think that would be smart and a good hire or not. One thing Warnock was always very good at, though, was providing a solid base for flair players to go and express themselves. Obviously, the main example of that was Adel Tarabt. So there might be a sense that some players who were indulged before might not get the same indulgement that they did previously. That is about the size of my early thoughts. To summarise, I'm massively surprised. I genuinely thought Cardiff would get promoted. I thought he'd sign well, and I thought in January he'd bring in another striker like he always seems to do, and in the end they would churn it out. I'm really surprised it's ended this way for him, and is that it for Warnock? Is that it for the career? He said this was going to be his last season. I do not know. Really interested to hear from Cardiff fans. Where did it go wrong? Is this the right thing to happen now? Could he have ridden the storm? And frankly, is there a better manager with that group of players than Neil Warnock for Cardiff? I'm interested in the Harris link. I'm interested to hear from Millwall fans. What do you think of the decision, Cardiff fans, Millwall fans, to talk about Harris? And who should come in? And can Cardiff, given that they've got 2 years of parachute payment, still get out of this division the way I thought they might? Wow. Neil Warnock, the king of championship promotions, has gone. Get involved in the comments. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Sorry it is so rushed. I really wanted to get something out. This is a big story. Get involved in the comments. Thank you for watching. Over and out.